Shove it, man!
Just a quick video today. It's a Patreon request from Oliver Scott, who asked me to review the first and only time that a WWE contracted wrestler faced a TNA contracted wrestler. It's Matt Hardy versus AJ Styles. So if this video sucks, it's not my fault, it's his. You can track him down at Medway, make sure you tell him how much you hate him. This video follows on nicely from my last video about the Kurt Angle, Karen and Jeff Jarrett love triangle. Matt Hardy was recently released by the WWE. It had been revealed that Lita had been cheating on Matt Hardy with Edge whilst he was out injured. Matt Hardy flipped when he found out and attacked Edge and Lita on the internet. He told Edge that he's going to smack him one. WWE fired Matt Hardy. Yes, the man who was just upset and had essentially done nothing wrong. His life was falling apart. There was a lot of fan backlash as people took Hardy's side, and he was rehired 2 months later by the WWE. The problem was at this point Matt Hardy had not wrestled a match for an entire year, and he'd need some matches before entering his WWE program that he'd agreed to work with Edge. So for the next 2 weeks, Hardy toured the indies, putting on some of the best matches of his career. On the other side, AJ Styles had just lost his NWA World title, but TNA let their wrestlers work the indies on the side. So the match that we're looking at today took place at International Wrestling Cartel No Excuses in 2005. I'm going to do a brief review of the actual show, but I'm not going to spend too much time on these other indie nerds, because nobody cares about them. The show starts with a bald man with a Yorkshire flat cap ranting to an almost bald looking man, and they threaten to kill a team called the Gambinos. They're trying to look like badasses. The first match of the night is Kido versus Jimmy DeMarco, who is another very small looking bald man. Kido is a rip-off Tajiri. Kido does a manoeuvre like a tarantula and then does the buzzsaw kick. He then nails a knee drop and pins him for the free. The small bald man gets jumped by 2 other bald men. I think I've accidentally turned on EastEnders and the Mitchell Brothers feud instead of a wrestling show. They throw DeMarco into the stairs and then try to sandwich his arm between a steel chair and the steps. The commentary team keeps calling him a kid, but he looks like a 50-year-old lager drinker from Rochdale. They then say that he's on his way to hospital and they push him out the front door. Suddenly a crazy masked man is ranting. What the hell is this? One of the strangest things I've ever seen. I genuinely don't know if he's speaking English or not. I'm not sure what it was to hype, but this is delirious. I forgot that he existed. A young Matt Sydal is out next, looking a bit less like a hippie than nowadays. His opponent is the previously mentioned Delirious, who NWA TNA fans should be familiar with and also ROH fans. Delirious is acting wacky and throws a crowd member's hat away. The commentary team are so annoying and keep doing Simpsons impressions. One of the guys thinks he's Homer. The match takes forever to start because Delirious is being weird. Sydal does a beautiful dive over the top which looks good even in this crappy arena. Sydal then counters lots of moves, but then Delirious hits his finisher and it's over. Cool finisher, and I'm surprised Sydal lost. An absolute goofball is backstage dressed as Wonder Woman, speaking to an Asian woman whose gimmick is that she can't speak English. This guy is just such an embarrassment. Chris Hero is up next, teaming with Daisy Hayes. The 2 idiots mentioned earlier come out next, dancing to Gwen Stefani Holla Back Girl. Chris Hero is a man who is apparently 6'4", but he's paler than milk, greasier than starchy spaghetti, and his arms look like 2 white sticks. It's another match where the guys just mess around doing goofy stuff. The girls then get in, and it's bad. The Asian chick is Sumi Sakai. It's actually an intergender match, but Chris Hero can't put away Sumi Sakai. She eventually tags out to her partner. To be fair, this Glenn guy is actually quite entertaining. The crowd like him and at least he looks like he works out. The 2 girls do a rolling pin spot. It's probably the best I've ever seen that done. Chris Hero hits the Warrior's Way and pins him, but Sumi Sakai messes up and is not in the right place at the right time to break the pin up, so the ref just stops counting. Glenn hits a rock bottom but Chris Hero kicks out. Glenn then beats Chris Hero with a funky looking pin. He's called Glenn, he's a comedy wrestler, he likes to dance. This guy is a cheap Glenn Gilberti. Backstage, Chris Hero is talking about the match with Glenn and specifically complains about having to face a Japanese woman. Why does he decide to say that? Is he racist or something?
I had to team with a woman against a guy that thinks he's a woman and another woman, a Japanese woman.
Next up, a man with toilet paper tied around his head comes out. He's got toilet paper on his head because he's He says he wrestled for 10 years. He looks like he's been doing nothing but eating for 10 years. He wants some guy to shake his hand because he lost to him at a previous show. That guy is a cheap version of Sean O'Hare. This is actually John Bolan, and he was signed to a TNA contract by winning Gut Check in 2004. Yes, this was a thing before the Gut Check version you're all familiar with. He made some sporadic appearances for TNA and GFW, and he also had a WWE developmental deal. They go to shake hands, and another man with a receding hairline attacks Sean O'Hare with a steel chair. They then cut backstage, and Sean O'Hare is threatening to kill the 2 men. Shannon Moore's half-brother is backstage mumbling something. Then, holy crap, it's Zema Ion with extra big hair. He's been doing that hairspray gimmick forever. This is a cruiserweight match. Zema Ion hits a DDT on the Shannon Moore impersonator called Jason Gorey. Zema's manager gets in the ring and tries to assist Zema to do a backflip, but Shannon Moore rolls out of the way 10 seconds earlier, so it looks stupid. Shannon then hits a piledriver type move that looks like it kills Zema Ion, and he pins him for the 3. He is crowned the IWC Newcomer of the Year. 16 years later, I think they gave that award to the wrong guy. Zema attacks him after the match. Next up, a wrestler called Shirley cuts a promo. I grew up always believing that Shirley was a girl's name, but now I know better. This is the second wrestler I know who's called Shirley, and the last one I knew was extremely fat but a British wrestling legend all the same. If you had to ask me which Shirley I'd prefer, I'd say the choice is easy, easy, easy. He's apparently taking on Eddie Kingston, and this is the main title of their promotion. It looks like a little kid made it in arts and crafts, what garbage. Eddie Kingston calls him a paper champion, which is fitting as that's what the belt is made out of. Eddie Kingston gets on the mic and verbally assaults the crowd. He then attacks Shirley on the way to the ring. Shirley looks like a fake Mick Foley but beats Eddie Kingston. Mark Madden is brought out as a special attraction. Look at the size of this behemoth. He puts over how much he loves Shirley and gets the roster to come out to sing happy birthday. There's a man in a blue shirt that looks like Huel from Breaking Bad. Cesaro is actually also on this show, but he looks a lot different here. He will be taking on a human mop. This mop is called John McChesney, and he made quite a few appearances in NWA TNA, and he even had a match on Sunday Night Heat. He sounds like a guy who was on the verge of making it. McChesney wins with a top rope leg drop. Backstage it's Tracy Smothers. He then passes the microphone to his partner Chris Hamrick, who seems completely out of it. Smothers and Hamrick are Southern Comfort, and they take on Sebastian, Dork and Hentai. Chris Hamrick hits a piledriver from the top, and they're going to go and win the match, but the two scruffy looking wrestlers cheat and hit Tracy Smothers with a ladder, so they're DQ'd. Now it's the main reason I'm watching this stupid show. AJ Styles is out for the main event and he'll be taking on Matt Hardy. This match is the first and only time a WWE contracted wrestler has taken on a TNA contracted wrestler. Hardy says he's not here to talk about Edge, Lita or Johnny Ace, and he's here because he wants to face AJ Styles. Matt Hardy uses his size and power advantage for the early part of the match. AJ fights back with a springboard forearm. Matt Hardy is trying to get his new submission over called The Scar. I'm not a fan of this move because AJ could easily just slam him or pin him. Styles gets out of it and then he dives on top of Matt on the outside. AJ is then in charge for a while until Matt Hardy cuts him off. The match then goes back and forth with Hardy hitting a neck breaker and AJ hitting a brainbuster. AJ then hits the Phenomena but they almost mess it up. Matt Hardy hits the side effect on AJ but he kicks out at 2 as everybody does. AJ then hits Matt Hardy with his own move, the Twist of Fate, but he can only get a 2. AJ then goes for the spiral tap but Hardy rolls out the way. Matt Hardy then uses AJ's own move in retaliation as he nails the Styles Clash, but AJ kicks out of this. Hardy then tries to do a moonsault, but AJ gets his knees up. AJ then gets the pin, but flawlessly rolls it into the Styles Clash. Hardy somehow kicks out again. I thought it was over. They start fighting on the top, and then AJ kicks him off the top with a Pele kick. Hardy then decides to cheat and kicks AJ down south and hits the Twist of Fate, but AJ kicks out of this. Matt Hardy then goes for another, but AJ reverses it and pins him with the Oklahoma Roll. What a match. Matt shakes AJ Styles' hand after the match. It's good to see Matt Hardy happy here. It can't have been a good time in his life for him. Matt Hardy says that ICW is the future and leaves. The commentary team seem annoyed that he called the company the wrong name. It's over. Bit of a different video from me today, but this was a Patreon request. I hope you enjoyed it. It's going to be everybody's favourite time of the month next as I'm going to make your girl sing. It's Rinka King. And if you ain't down with the fat 8-year-old Indian boy, I've got 2 words for you. Shove it.